Welcome back to Hideaway, everyone. Hope you guys are having a great day today. Thank you guys again for all your love and support. You guys don't know how much it means to me as we try to grow this channel and make our impact wider for reptiles and conservation. So this morning we're going to be finishing up with our animal ambassadors and Shalonians as we introduce you guys to all the animals in the reptile room. So we're going to take a look at our Diamondback Terrapin, whose name is Ollie. Let's check that out. Alright guys, so here's our girl Ollie right here. Definitely one of my favorite turtle species, the Diamondback Terrapin, considered vulnerable by the IUCN as far as their conservation status. So we'll go ahead and take a look at her conservation card as we go towards her enclosure. So we got the Diamondback Terrapin, right? The Malaclemus terrapin ranges brackish tidal marshes of the eastern and southern United States. And like I was talking about, their conservation status is vulnerable. So we'll take a look at her environment here. Kind of matches what she has, right? So on the bottom, wherever she's going to be, they're going to have, set up like either muddy or, some kind of marsh or something. That's in the brackish territory, right? So we'll take a close look at her. And they do live in brackish water. So one of the coolest things about the Diamondback Terrapin is they're able to live in, salt water and fresh water. So that brackish middle line. But for our purposes, keeping Diamondback Terrapins in captivity, for the most part, we keep them in fresh water just because it's a little bit easier, and when they're hatchlings, they're raised in fresh water. So taking them from that environment, adding any of that rock salt is just going to be less of a headache. The benefit, though, of if you do house Diamondback Terrapins in salt water is it kind of keeps that bacteria down. So our girl here was kind of fighting a respiratory infection a couple weeks ago, but she's better now. She's been taking her antibiotics and nebulizers, so she's been doing well. So we'll take a look at her. She's just adorable. So when we got her, actually, same place we got Buzz, our razorback musk turtle. The breeder actually told us, he said, these guys will spoil you as far as personality traits of turtles. And she does come over here. It's like she's looking right at us. She knows exactly who I am, and usually I come over here and feed her. So just a beautiful turtle. You can see her patterning. She's a white northern Diamondback Terrapin. So there are a couple subspecies of this turtle, but she's gorgeous. So we'll take a look at her enclosure, right? So for for enrichment purposes, like we give her a little house here. We give her a moss ball that she can roll around. A lot of rocks that she can move out of the way when she's searching for some salmon we leave. And then to kind of give her a more realistic feel, right, of what she goes through, we give her some shells just to kind of make it look, more like that brackish setup, even though she is in a freshwater environment. And so we'll look at her setup with the lights. So she does have her basking bulb over here on the right side, as well as her UV light, and then her little basking light. So she'll come up here and enjoy the sun every once in a while. But for the most part, she stays in the water. Since she was sick, her water temperature is about 83 degrees right now. But and you can see how the heater turns on when it tries to maintain that temperature. We bumped it up a little bit as she was trying to get over her little respiratory infection, and so now it's done. We're bumping it back down. It was at 85. We brought it down to 83, and then we'll bring it back down to 80. So beautiful species. So some cool things about the Diamondback Terrapin as well is they're very strong swimmers. So you can see, even though she's a juvenile turtle, she can have relatively deep water. I could even fill this tank up completely if I wanted to be honest. But we keep it right there just to kind of make sure that she doesn't get into any snags or anything and have to swim to the very top. But she's a very adequate, very comfortable swimmer, and just a beautiful turtle species. So you can see her swimming. Gorgeous. So kind of like I was talking about with the sulcata tortoises as well, right? When they're about this small, you kind of don't want to be picking them up, but this is I guess a circumstance where we would pick her up just to kind of show you guys what we're working with here. So gorgeous little girl. And the reason we can tell she's a girl, and I'm turning her around here, is look how short her little tail is, right? Her little tail is a lot shorter than the males, and the males will have longer tails, obviously, because when they mount the females, their tail carries their genitals, which is going to be able to get around the shell, right? So they need to be able to get around the shell and, obviously fertilize the female's eggs. So she's got a lot shorter tail base. The males, you can see the back of the tail on her. The males will have a much longer tail that is a lot more for lack of a better word, I guess you could say, a lot more meaty to kind of fit in more stuff back there rather than just the ovaries and their, you know, cloaca. So, but like I said, she's just a gorgeous turtle. I love her so much. She's one of my favorites. And like I said a while back, one of the interesting things about the Diamondback Terrapin is in the areas that they grew up, right, like that they came up and were being discovered, you know, in New Jersey, Maryland, those kind of areas. Obviously the Maryland Terrapins, that's who this species is named after, just a beautiful turtle. It was kind of interesting thing because back in the day, these guys were, for those people who are, you know, bougie, they used to eat terrapin soup, and that was considered a delicacy up in Maryland, New Jersey, New York, New England area where these guys are found in the salt marshes and stuff. So obviously they're a protected species now. In the state of Florida where we live, you're only allowed to possess 2 at any given time, including their eggs or their offspring. So you gotta be careful here, know your state laws. Obviously when you're getting a Diamondback Terrapin and knowing their setup, and if you can actually keep them. I know there are some states where you can't actually possess a Diamondback Terrapin, but for us in Florida, we're lucky enough to be able to possess 2 of them. So we might get her a male at some point, and you know, just to have a tank mate. So yeah, like I was saying, these guys were actually a food item until, you know, they started being protected and were going not necessarily into extinction, but just more of a protected status. We're seeing them less in the wild, and I know there are some conservation projects we'll talk about at the end of this video that try to conserve the Diamondback Terrapin as much as possible, right? So they'll release hatchlings and stuff back into the wild so they can get back to their natural habitat. And you see she just let out a poop right there. Oh man. So we feed her a diet of a mix of things, right? So we'll give her a diet of this hatchling formula. Since she is kind of young, we'll give her this, you know, Zoo Med aquatic turtle food hatchling formula that does pretty good for us. And here we also have some shrimp pellets, as well as salmon. That's probably the majority of what we feed her is fish and shrimp, as well as those pellets. So she loves salmon. She'll eat for us very well. She's a very good eater, so. But we'll get a close-up of her here. So that's our girl Ollie, and you can see we kind of have a thing posted for her. Her Ollie, short for olive oil, right, from Popeye. So there she is. Hope you guys enjoyed that video of my girl Ollie swimming around and eating. You know, Diamondback Terrapin is definitely my favorite turtle species on Earth. One of the most beautiful turtles on the planet, to be honest. So I'll leave in the description 2 links to donate to the Terrapin Nesting Project up in New Jersey and Long Island, as well as the Georgia Sea Turtle Center, who work to conserve this beautiful species. Just as a reminder, if you guys can't donate monetarily, I'll leave the links down in the description below so you guys can volunteer for centers like the Georgia Sea Turtle Center and the Terrapin Nesting Project up there in Long Island and New Jersey. So hopefully you guys have a great day. Just remember, it takes us to play our part to be able to conserve this beautiful species as well as many others around the world. So that's gonna be it for me at Hideaway. You guys take care.